Cheers, Dimes. Obviously, a big thank you to Dimes there for giving us an insight, a bit of a snapshot. Obviously, these meetings drag on for hours and hours on a Monday, Tuesday. Dimes has just cut it pretty short there to give you an insight. I know there's quite a few guys in the room that all coach sons and whatever at the weekend, so I hope it was of interest and useful to you guys that are coaching at amateur level. So again, a big thanks to Dimes, but as mentioned, I'd like to introduce a couple of guys up to the front. So if everybody does want to move forward a little bit while we do the Q&A, I'd like you to all to put your hands together for Rob Webber, which I hope he hasn't gone home yet. Rob Webber and Tom Curry. In fact, Dimes, are you going to stick around? Do you want to come up here and get involved in the Q&A as well? First of all, lads, thanks for coming. I know today's your day off, so I'm sure all these guys appreciate your time this evening. Rob, I think we'll start with you. Obviously, you've got many caps under your belt. You've been involved in Six Nations in the past, and there's nothing more important. You hear the old cliche all the time about the first game in a knockout competition, and albeit it was Italy, but it was massively important to get off to a good start this weekend for England.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Six Nations, like any tournament, it's important to start well, but particularly with, as Dimes alluded to, Italy away, it's a banana skin. They've got a new coach in Conor O'Shea over the last couple of years, and they have improved, and I think they just really needed to start the tournament well, hit the ground running, and really score a lot of tries, which they did. It wasn't just an arm wrestle of a victory, which when I played there it was. We just squeaked over, I think 12-9 or something. But they went there and they had an authoritative performance and really put a marker down for the tournament, which was good.
And Tom, obviously not involved at the moment. Do you want to give us an update on the wrist and the hand? How's it feeling when you're expecting to be fit?
Yes, so hopefully 4 to 6 days, not counting. Hopefully March 24th. But yeah, no, I started passing the other day. So it's little things that make me happy, really.
And as Dimes touched on there, Eddie Jones he's turned this England team around. You've been involved in the camp under Eddie Jones. I actually spoke to Richard Wigglesworth in the car on the way here tonight, and I don't know if he was taking the mick or not, but he said Eddie's attention to detail is just different level. So even little things where he'll put meetings in the lads' diaries, 12:47 or 11:23. Is his detail that painful?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's good that he's able to put that onto the players. So our attention, he'll make us have his quality of attention to detail. He'll have a board about all the players, and it's expected of us to analyse in every little fine detail about what we want, what we're expecting from the game and the opposition and the players. So it's incredible. You're on your toes 24/7. I don't think you get much sleep. You're either doing something or you're worrying about doing something. But yeah, it is.
Sounds like a great campaign.
No, but once you're in that environment, you get used to it. You know what's expected of you, and it's brilliant to be there.
And Dimes, you touched on it in the video. Obviously, players like Farrell and Ford are in that team. From a selection point of view, they both play 10 for their clubs. They're obviously doing brilliantly well at playing 10 and 12 for their country, but is there a dilemma around selection there from Eddie's point of view?
No, I don't think so. I think Farrell is probably one of only 3 world-class players in the England team, truly world-class, who would get into the New Zealand team, and I think you've got to have Ford in the team for his ability to distribute. He's not a Johnny Wilkinson. Farrell's more like a Johnny Wilkinson. But Ford can do things with the ball, which not a lot of players can do in the world. If Ford was a New Zealander, he would also be in that bracket of world class. He's just a different level when they've got the ball.
And I'm not sure who to go to this question with. It's more of a creative question. I know we've got 2 current forwards, 1 ex-forward that are not known for their creativity. Maybe we'll go to you, Rob. I know you've got a bit of flair.
again, Dimes mentioned in the video this wrap play where you hit the guy at the front. He's got runners coming either side and he goes out the back. It seems to be something that Sale are doing a lot, and it seems to be something that generally in rugby that is being used a lot at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's something that's really come into the game probably the last 4 or 5 years, probably slightly from rugby league attack. We've learned from them, and what it does is if you're a defender, your channel that's in front of you, sort of metaphorically speaking, to defend, you've got 2 or 3 people in it at one time, so it makes it harder for you as an individual to defend, because there's a guy over there passing the ball and he can pass it to 1 or 3 guys in front of you, and that makes your job very hard. And obviously if you pick the wrong one, there's a hole there, or if you pick the other wrong one, the hole's out there. So it's all about creating space, and I think that also that play and the way it's ran answers the question about Ford and Farrell, because having them both in the team allows them to run that shape very, very well, with 2 guys that can pick those right runners and make that attack so effective as you saw in the video.
And again, we mentioned, Eddie's what he's done to this team is unbelievable. One defeat in 23, 24 games is incredible at any level, really, let alone at international level. Prior to that was Stuart Lancaster. Obviously not a huge fan of mine. He ended my career, my England career that was. Dimes ended my domestic career. But what...
and possibly a speaking career.
But what... I don't know, again... Can you put your finger on what Eddie Jones has done, really, to turn this team around? Because ultimately it's the same group of players.
I don't think he's always cracked up to big quotes, because he's ended my international career, so... I think just from talking to lads around the Sale lads and some of the other guys in the Premiership that I know, I think sometimes a guy can come in just with a sweeping change of everything, absolutely all the detail, the way they train, how they train, what they eat, where they eat it, when they eat it, and just absolutely everything he's sort of revolutionised. And the flip side of that is the players have bought into it. He's obviously given them a goal and a way of doing things, and they've gone, yeah, actually this is pretty good, we'll have a bit of this, and they've bought into it, and they're getting the rewards. I think there are tests to come, as Dimes alluded to, in New Zealand, and I'm not sure how the rest of the Six Nations will pan out, but I think they're obviously going massively in the right direction, and it's great to see.
And you mentioned the Six Nations. Obviously, they're going for a record, the 3rd successive Six Nations win on the bounce. I don't think it's ever been done. Does that add extra pressure, or do the players just play every game as it comes?
Yeah, Eddie's a massive believer in the next game's our most important game. You won't go a day in camp without hearing about the World Cup and the final. I mean, when we were in Portugal, we came back with a sheet in our bed saying like 2 years to the World Cup, so everything's to that.
Eddie Jones has been in your bedroom, yeah?
I think it was him anyway.
That's why he's getting picked.
But yeah, no. The next game is the most important game, so all the attention, all the detail will be on Wales. They've got an incredible amount of analysis that's been going on for a long time, and it's all ready and set up for this week.
And just to touch on Wales, Dimes, do you think Wales did well, or was Scotland bad? The whole week, Warren Gatland obviously talking about he's got 7 Lions missing from selection, and they go out and do what they did. Was it a good Wales performance or a bad Scotland performance?
Well, I thought Wales did what they needed to do. They beat a side that were inept in some areas, and again, I'll allude to it, and as Rob and Tom know, and you used to know, the first attribute you need is attitude. And the Scots didn't turn up with it. I don't know what happened to them. They played so well against Australia and South Africa in the autumn that I think they just thought they were a bit better than they are, really.
Was it that expectation, maybe, going there as favourites?
Yeah, well, I think I've never played there. You have many times. I know Rob has, but you hear of people saying going to the Principality or the Millennium Stadium, as I call it, if you go there and you're not on your full mettle, then you're going to get beat. And to go and deliver like Scotland didn't, I think Wales can only do so much. You know, if they'd have won by 50 points, you know, perhaps Wales would be travelling to England thinking they're a little bit better than they were. They did a good professional job in the opening game against a side who've been built up to do really well.
I think as well, one thing to bear in mind, although Warren Gatland's missing those Lions, what he had the ability to fall on is a Lefty Scarlets team that is rampaging through Europe and top of their pool in the Pro 14 or whatever it is, and he picked, was it 12 people to start from that one club in that game? So they were just a really, really tight-knit group who played like the Lefty Scarlets, more or less, with a few Warren Gatland twists within it, and they were a ready-made team, where Scotland will have gone away. Some will have played for Glasgow, some will have played for Edinburgh, one at Sale, one here, one there, come together. They've got to get all their squad back on the same page again, whereas Wales would have walked through the door knowing exactly what they were going to do straight away.
And we know Warren Gatland likes his mind games. Dimes, you're not afraid of being outspoken in the press at times. I think already this week he's talking up, you know, last week it was about injuries. This week he's talking Eddie Jones up to be the next Lions captain. Do you think that has any impact? Is it just a distraction, or what's it all about?
Well, no, I just think it's a bit of sparring from two top coaches, really. They know the stuff, the squads know how they both operate, and I think it adds a little bit of spice in what sometimes can be a humdrum sport. You know, they sometimes get the back page stuff onto the front page by being controversial, and I think it does the sport a lot of good. They're never impolite, really. You know, they're just saying it as it is. Eddie Jones is a master tactician. People can't forget Stuart Lancaster, who did a brilliant job, not in ending your two careers, in putting the foundations in. And what Eddie's done is come in, and what Eddie does, he's got a plethora of knowledge. He's coached in South Africa, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and England. And what he's done is come, and as I said earlier, he's got the biggest player pool in the world. So the Premiership produced 800 players every year for him, and he picks the best. And what he does, he drives them harder than any other international coach has driven them. And if they break, then he gets another one, because he's got the biggest player pool in the world. And not a lot of countries can do that. Scotland can't do it, because they've only got 50 good players, and Wales can't do it, they've probably got 150 good players. So what he's done is created such an ambitious group of players who will run through brick walls to get in that team. And if they get injured on the way, like this lad has done, then the next one comes in, and the next one has to live up to it. Now, Wales don't have that. That's why England are a good team, because they are so ambitious in how they go about it. None of them stick their head above the parapet. Anybody like a Cipriani, these sort of lads don't get a look in. He won't let one person take that ship off his course, and that's why they'll win this Six Nations, in my opinion.
So ahead of this weekend, England-Wales at Twickenham, how do we all feel it'll go?
Yeah, I think England will win the game. I think it'll be tighter than the two openers. I think it'll be England 27, Wales 17.
Tom?
I think fitness for England at the last 20 minutes. Probably edge at 20-12.
31-11.
So unanimous England win. Let's hope so. Just finally, obviously we're here to talk about the Six Nations, but we can't not talk about Sale Sharks and your guys' season so far. Back into a big 3 or 4 weeks ahead prior to Christmas, and from an outsider's point of view, watching the team, I felt like we really turned a corner and playing some exciting rugby. So it's a big month ahead with a big game this weekend, and 5 points off top 4 at the moment as we currently sit.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in a really exciting place. It's taken hard work to get there. I think we had to just tweak a few things at the end of that first block, like you said, but we've come together really well, and I think what we like about the way that's happened is we've kind of just crept under the radar as well a little bit, and we're sort of just gaining a little bit of momentum as we get toward the busy end of the season, and get a few guys like Tom back fit in 4 to 6 days, was it, or 4 to 6 weeks?
4 to 6 days.
4 to 6 days. Sure, it's days.
It is weeks, isn't it?
Weeks.
Wait, Dave, it's March 24th.
We're in February.
Anyway, we get a few guys. We get a few guys back in a period of time, and that'll boost us further. That'll boost us further on, and we'll push on.
Oh, he actually means 46 days. He is literally counting the days.
And 7 hours.
You nerd.
And again, you touched on you know throughout the season you have these away days every now and again, and you recently had an away day this week. Can you maybe share what was spoken about? Is it short-term goals? Is it looking as far ahead as the end of the season?
I think it's a combination of both. It's a block of games we've got now for this Premiership, 4 weeks, which we're sort of targeting. When you break that down further, it's Saturday away at London Irish, which is the first sort of hurdle of 4. And we need to just tick those off as we go in order to achieve what we want from that block. So it's kind of a little bit of both, I think.
Perfect. Well, listen, thanks again for tonight, lads, and Dimes. Good luck for the rest of the season, but just hold your horses for a moment or two. As I mentioned earlier, we'll open this section up to the floor. Does anybody have any questions for the guys?
Ben Pennington, Polaris Media. Just wonder, Dimes, are you concerned about the number of injuries this season, and do you think that the authorities need to do something about it, perhaps change the rules again? There does seem to be a disproportionate number of injuries this season.
I think that there is a problem not with the laws. I think the laws have been changed to speed the game up, which is what we all want to see. I think it's the daily training regime that players go in. And I'll give you an example, and I can't say too much about it, but we have a player who has come from nowhere called Byron McGuigan, a winger, who's got into the Scotland squad on absolute merit. And he pulled his hamstring at the weekend, and I checked his GPS. So they have these little electronic devices stuck in the shorts or on the shoulders, and we can map how quick they run, how often they run, the impact they do, all the rest of this scientific stuff that our scientists at work deal with. And in the week leading up to our Harlequins game 4 weeks ago, I think Byron run 21 kilometres in that week, which is a lot for us. In the week leading up to the Scotland game, he run 37. So the daily training regime is really, really important that people are looked after. It's not the game. The game is quicker than it was when Quake's played, a lot quicker than when I played. The physicality is very similar, but it's what you do in the week. Because we only expose these lads at training, and they'll tell you, not me, we do very little live contact. We don't need to beat the shit out of each other in the week. You want them to do that in a game. And there's a lot of coaches around the world that haven't adapted that philosophy at this moment in time. So the driver for me, when I'm involved in these panels and forums away from platforms like this, is all about the daily training regime. Look what people do at training, because you train a lot more than you play. You only play for 80 minutes.
Anyone else?
Thank you. Steve, any chance you could send all that analysis to Mr. Townsend, because I think it might be quite useful. It was painful, proper painful.
You know, I did feel for you for the first 5 minutes.
Anyone else with a question for the lads?
Steve, going back to what you talk about, hamstrings and things like that. Obviously, I'm a new convert to this cohort, the rugby. We've had an incident in football this week about hamstring injuries, talking about stoppages in the play when players are warm and they keep going, and then there's such a big stoppage. In rugby, there seems to be a lot of stoppages for me where players are cooling down. And do you think this is having an impact on the injuries we're talking about, such as hamstrings?
I don't, Les, really. I think I can tell you this, that I judge the number of injuries across the Premiership. Sale run with a 34-man squad, and they have 15 kids who supplement that squad. All the other teams run with 50 men squads and 15 kids. So we run with a smaller squad. And I can tell you now of only 3 soft tissue injuries, hamstrings or calves, in training in 7 years. Because we look after them at practice, and I say I don't need to rattle on about it. The lads know how we look after them. In games, there's sometimes you can't legislate for somebody pulling the hamstring, but what you've got to do is go backwards in the science and look how much they're doing. Are they prepared? The stoppages in rugby are far more than football, but I think the average ball in play this season is 42 minutes out of 80. Yeah, 5 seasons ago it was 29. So the game's speeded up like you can never believe. So I think it's just a case of, one, the conditioning, the looking after, the rehabilitation. These lads probably spend as much time in the gym stretching, I won't say doing yoga and stuff like that, but doing all the Pilates, doing all that stuff that you wouldn't expect rugby players to do, and actually that does benefit them. The rehabilitation and the prehabilitation is massive. So again, as you know, I'm not the Pope and I coach a different way to most people, and I'm not politically correct in some areas, but what I do know, because I've played for a long time and I've coached for a long time, is the most important asset we have are these men. And you've got to look after him. If you don't look after him in the week, don't expect God to look after him on a game day. It doesn't work that way. So I think the answer to the question, Les, is some people are prone to get injuries, some people aren't. But the skill of it is understanding their body, them understanding the body, and training to suit that.
Someone else had their hand up,
Hi, thanks. Just curious about the panel's view on the France-Ireland game at the weekend. I was trying to explain to my wife why it wasn't cynical that the French scrum half, who apparently had a head injury, came off the pitch and was immediately, obviously, substituted by his colleague that had just come off. Do you see that as a fair thing? I'm always talking about football, they're all cheats, but in rugby we're very fair.
Yeah, I think there's an argument for sort of getting the way around the rules the best they can, but I think it's very, very cynical, isn't it, really? I mean, we don't really want the game to go that way. I think rugby's got a few values that stand it higher than some other sports, and I think we should do as much as we can to sort of maintain them, really. So I think it was a bit naughty from the French, if I'm honest.
Anybody else? Anybody else with a final question? Last one, the gentleman here at the front, Josh. Is there?
Same game, 42 phases with a drop goal to end it. Entertainment, or was it one for the purist?
No, I thought it was massively entertaining. I thought it was a brilliant piece of skill. And not only the skill to do the drop kick, which was phenomenal from that far out, but to keep the ball for 42 phases in international rugby with some of the tackling and the breakdown work, sort of Tom's department, the people trying to steal it off the Irish, it was absolutely fantastic skill, and I think that should be applauded. It's not a try, but that is a way to score points in rugby, which they executed perfectly well.
I think we've got one last one at the back. Have you got a mic, sir? Yeah.
Do you think England will win the Six Nations?
Yes.
Have you just come in?
Yes. What a great question to finish on. I think we'll wrap it up there. But once again, I'd like you all to put your hands together for Tom, for Steve, for Rob, for giving up their time this evening. Cheers, lads.